Hi, everyone. Welcome to the GoldFIsh Report. I'm your host, Louisa. Today is Thursday, June 13th, 2019, and today we have a returning friend of the GoldFIsh Report, our very good friend, Dr. Scott Werner, here to bring a message to you from Saint Germain at this very, transitional period in our time here, in our life. So welcome, Scott. Thanks for coming back to the GoldFIsh Report. It's really good to see you again.
Hey, it's been too long. We need to get together more often. I have people calling me all the time saying, when are you going to be on with Louisa again? We miss you guys, And so Saint Germain has just literally been pushing me forward. And so I've been doing stuff that I've never done before. And mainly, my job is, as set out by Saint Germain, was last July when I was going up to Mount Shasta to give the talk about the 24-strand DNA manifestation. He appeared to me and said, nope, you're not giving that talk. You're going to talk about single mentoring. You are going to mentor people and help them to mentor other people into the higher realms, the higher thinking, the what's going on the planet, and you're going to be helping start a ripple that will become a wave and fill up the earth. And I was kind of like, okay, I'll do what I can. And so I gave the best talk I'd ever given up in Mount Shasta, and after it, people just lined up to sign up for the mentoring. And I signed up my max, and what's amazing is Vicky, I was kind of overwhelmed because I had never done this before. I hadn't really mentored people. I'd helped people with their physical health and emotional stuff and everything, but I hadn't actually done actual mentoring. So when I got started doing this, I was really grateful to have my dear wife, because she helped me through all of it.
She's so lovely. She's so lovely.
She is. And she's an amazing.
She has to come back on the GoldFIsh Report again. She just has a wonderful way of, really sharing her amazing story. And you have an amazing story too. And I'm telling you, they wouldn't have you go do that if they didn't know you were totally prepared to do it,
Oh, yeah. So I got done with that first 6 months of mentoring people. And then, late December, Saint Germain appeared to me and he says, okay, now it's time to start group mentoring. But you need to teach people the basics of morality, of the things that are being lost here on the planet. And so I started a 12-week mentoring of, just teaching people about love, about morality, about the things. Basically, it was a lot of the stuff that Jesus came and taught. And I did that for 12 weeks, and I got done in April, and I thought, oh, good, now I get the whole summer off. And nope, wasn't meant to be. Saint Germain appeared again. He says, now it's time to teach these people about mentoring for mentors. So you are going to teach them how to teach the lessons to other people and get them mentored, and how to wake up people. And so it's been quite a process. And there's no, how the old saying says, there's no rest for the wicked. Well, there's no rest for the righteous.
Well, this is wonderful, because we are at this turning point on the planet. I think we're getting ready to see some major changes. I mean, the energies that have been coming on the planet are very intense. I've been feeling them myself. Everybody's been commenting about it. There's a lot of things going on out in the solar system, a lot of things affecting our planet. The planet is just bursting. You see the volcanoes, the massive amount of earthquakes. Obviously, something major is going on that they're not openly discussing in the media, which is why we have to end up discussing it and talking about it. And it's really wonderful that you're doing this mentoring, because it is about seeding the consciousness of people who, look, if they're everybody's having these this is the great awakening, but a lot of people need that. They need somebody to guide them, and
Yes.
you're like shepherding them, and that's wonderful. And one of the people who we miss so much on the GoldFIsh Report is our friend Winston Shrout. We do miss him so much because Winston always had such wonderful wisdom to share with all of us, always very timely. It was always very timely, and we do miss him so much. And we do wish him the best and his family the best through their difficult times that they're having. But you know, these are the kinds of messages that I think the collective need to hear at this time. And you were saying how the message that you were getting overall was that this process of visualization and action, that this is what Saint Germain wanted to focus on. So do you want to expand on what exactly, you know, he was referring to, or
Yes.
what you're
Now,
guided, or what you're guided from that message? Yeah.
yeah, it's been so fascinating because the human brain, I received some information from Melchizedek, and also from, oh Gad, who's the psychic that got on all the time? Anyway, you know, he was on the cover of, you know, these magazines in the front. Nostradamus.
Oh.
I had a lady I was mentoring, and one morning she called me up and she said, Scott, Nostradamus has a message for you.
Mm.
And I was like, Nostradamus, he's the guy on the front of the, you know, those magazines, you know, when you get in the line at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Nostradamus predicted this, Nostradamus predicts that, you know, and oh, the guy's been dead for years. And so anyway, I said, okay, I'll tune in. So I tuned into the energy, and it was really an interesting message from him, was that I had been mentoring the 7 sisters who are born onto all the planets that are going to go through the ascension, and they are here to help prepare for the ascension. And he said, these women have been being attacked, they've been suppressed, they've been mind controlled, and you are to assist them to do their job. And I'm like, holy cow, you know, that's quite a calling. So anyway, I asked, okay, how do I know which ones they are? And he said, use your pendulum. And so I got out my pendulum, and I would say their name, and man, the pendulum just would go nuts. I mean, it would just swing wildly. And so I knew each one. And so I called them up and I told them what had happened. And it was quite fascinating because each one of them has been hit kind of like you. They've been literally watched by the government. They've been watched by the secret programs, and they were being suppressed. And Nostradamus wanted me to tell them who they were and help them start doing their jobs. And so I told them what their jobs were, and Saint Germain actually gave me a vision of who they are. Now, have you ever heard of the 7 sisters?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the 7 brightest stars in the constellation in the Orion.
It's the Pleiades.
The Pleiades, exactly. Yeah. And there's actually 8 stars, and one is the father of these 7 sisters. And they were known, believe it or not, all Earth, all of the groups on the planet throughout time have had stories about the 7 sisters of the Pleiades.
Yeah.
And I didn't know all this stuff until, you know, Nostradamus started talking about it. And so I researched it and gave them the information they needed to have. Now, why is this important to relay to everybody? Because these 7 sisters have actually started mentoring. They are doing my mentoring for mentors. They're doing all of these processes that Saint Germain has given me, and they are starting on their journey. And the journey is to wake up the entire planet to what actually is going on. Now, Saint Germain started talking about telepathy. And telepathy is a very powerful tool we as humans have. I mean, literally, you can be mad at somebody, and even your thoughts of anger send negative energy to the person you're angry at. So that's why Jesus told us, you know, you're supposed to forgive everybody all the time, because if we are even thinking negative thoughts towards somebody, we're sending negative energy towards them. And when he taught me all about, you know, the telepathy, oh, that's the other thing Nostradamus talked about, is how the human brain can actually function in past and in the future. And we need to be in the present. We need to balance our hemispheres. And he taught me the way you balance it is you go clockwise around your right hemisphere, and you go clockwise around your left hemisphere, which is the exact opposite. So you're doing kind of like, okay, I got to do it right. So you're actually going reverse on the left side, and you know, clockwise on the right side. And what that does, it balances your hemispheres so you're more in the present. Because many humans are living in the past. They're living in all the crap they've done. They're living in their past thoughts. They're living in their past lives. And we need to get our brain focused in the present by balancing the past and the present. Excuse me, the past and the future.
Doesn't that create like a what is it called? A gyroscope?
Gyroscope. Yes.
Yeah.
And it will do the same kind of thing. One will be spinning one way, the other will be spinning the other, and they balance everything out. And so we need to balance our brains in the present. We shouldn't be so much in the future. We shouldn't be so much in the past. And then you focus on what you desire in the now, in the present. And so, because a lot of us visualize into the future, and it does help create it, but it's better to be in the present and visualizing what you desire, because then it comes instantly.
Well, what do you have to say about all these Democrat liberals going crazy with Trump derangement syndrome?
Well, obviously, they're not focusing on what God wants them to focus on, the Creator. You know, I look at them, and all of them are humanists. You know, they believe in this reality of the humans being all powerful. We all have to, you know, give everything and become socialist, and so, you know, their thinking is in the humanist realm. And it's okay to be humanists, but you're lacking the creationist that is in each and every human being, because they don't believe they can be creators. They have to pull in everybody's energy to create what they think is the perfect society. And the thing they're missing out on is we are creationists. I love that you're laughing today, Louisa.
I really couldn't resist that one, because they really lack leadership, and that's the problem. They're just following the leader, and it's like, you know, the leadership's so pathetic. They don't have stand a chance for 2020 anyway. So I'm not talking politics. But this is the reality. I mean, there's people who are under mind control, though. There's frequencies that are affecting us. We know this 5G is trying to hijack our brains, and, you know, according to reports, okay, you know. And so it seems like it's a dangerous technology. It's really hard, Scott, to really, I think, for a lot of people, kind of overcome this. I mean, you know, it's not like we don't have enough as human beings trying to just evolve with our own situations we get ourselves into in life, that we have to grow, our souls have to grow from as it is. And then we have all these other outside, you know, forces putting pressure on us, you know, like the Democrats. And so, what are you going to do?
Well, they're filling everybody's minds with this stuff, you know, and it sounds so great, but who's going to pay for it? All of us.
The free everything fairy.
Yes.
The free fairy.
The other thing that Saint Germain taught me was not only balance your hemispheres. Now, our brain has millivolt energy, but if we hook into our pineal, oh, I love that you're smiling and laughing. Our pineal gland connects us to who? The Creator. And that energy comes down into our pineal. Our hemispheres, when they're rotating properly, will focus the energy, will attach it to the creator, our creative energy, and then it goes down through our pituitary gland, down through our thyroid gland, and down into our heart. And when our heart adds energy, and I've talked about this before, our brain is in millivolts. Our heart is in kilovolts. So this is 1,000th of a volt. This is 1,000 volts. So a kilovolt.
Whoa.
So when you change from what you're creating and add love to it, it becomes 1,000,000 times more powerful. And Saint Germain says, boy, when you connect these two, the thoughts through your glands down into your heart, your creative energies become 1,000,000 times more powerful. And you can create whatever you desire. And let me tell you, I have experienced it. I literally, it's changed my life. I'm no longer in that need, that want. I am in love. I am in the space of peace, the space of plenty. You know, I have no worries anymore. And the biggest problem on the planet right now is everybody's worried about everything, you know, because of the chaos and all the crap going on. And so Saint Germain, when Jesus said, and you shall know the truth and the truth shall make you free, well, it frees you up from all the problems and the resistance and the chaos, and it makes you a better human, a better human being that is connected to what we should be doing.
I mean, that is so true. That is so true, Scott, because people who, you know, look, lying about things, you know, creates a web, and you just get stuck in that web. It is not,
Yes.
it is not a path to freedom. You know, cannot fear the truth, whatever it is. You have to have faith that, you know, the truth will ultimately bring about everyone's highest good.
Yes.
Whether you want to hear it or not, it's sometimes a hard pill to swallow, but you know, you have to act. We're in such important times, as you're saying, and everything is manifesting. We're also in, you know, so we just went through this big karmic clearing area, planetary alignment. I think we're actually still in it until November. Right now we're in Sagittarius. Well, and on the 17th we'll be in Sagittarius full moon. So it's kind of like, you know, blunt, very, you know, kind of, you have to face, it's not going to let everybody, and I'm not an astrologer, but I do listen to some of them. And I think it's very important. I mean, we've had a lot of world leaders who have astrologers. Nancy Reagan didn't do anything without her astrologer. We had lots of first ladies and a lot of people who really understood that going with the flow of what's going on planetary with the energies, you know, use that to your advantage. And don't fight against it, because you'll just, you know, create so much more discord for yourself. It just seems like some people, Scott, seem like they just want to believe, they want to believe in social justice, you know, this Trump derangement syndrome. They want to believe in, like, that there's got to be a good guy and there's got to be a bad guy, you know what I mean? And and that's kind of problematic too, because I mean, we've been engineered for this duality. We've been engineered to be divided and conquered, and so everybody's kind of bought into it. But you know, it's kind of like they're you know, let's just use the Democrats for an example. Let's do that, because they have no leadership. And their leadership is bringing us to a very bad place in the country. So it's like whatever group you belong to, whether it's Democrat, whether it's you know, religious group or whatever. I mean, you know, if your group is, you know, inciting violence, murder of babies, and anything else, it's kind of like you really need to take a step back and think about whether it's good or bad. You know what I mean? There's a lot of bad. There's a lot of evil in the world. But the thing to do is to not allow yourself to be tempted, right? It's about that temptation, isn't it, Scott? Resisting that temptation when, you know, how many people have sold their souls to the devil? I mean, Satan. Honestly, this planet was given to Lucifer. He's been running this planet, deceiving us all these years, thousands of years. But it's time to change. it's done. They're done. These Satanists, it's all going to come out in the open, Scott. It's going to be a lot of revelation coming out. It's going to be very disturbing to people about what's really been going on this planet. These FISA D-class, all this stuff that's going to come out with the IG report, crimes against children from Hillary Clinton, the Clinton Foundation. This is all coming out, and people are going to be shocked, and they're going to be disturbed by it. And we need to, this is the point where you're saying you need to go in and connect with your soul and decide what's your truth, you know? I mean, how can you help people with that, Scott? Because it's coming. People are going, you know, it's kind of like they're inching their way to release all this because they know what's coming. They know that the people with Trump derangement syndrome are going to be the ones who are be the most concerned, because they're going to be out of control, that it was their party that deceived them and misled them. That was I'm just using the Democrats as an example. Sorry, I have to apply politics into it, but it's a really good example, I think, for ease of conversation.
You know, it's interesting as you're talking about the Trump derangement syndrome. Everybody who's been in the schooling system has been taught and misled, and it was created by the party who's making the most stink. And so our entire schooling system has not really taught about the republic. Everybody thinks we're in a democracy, and we're not. We're a democratic republic. And that's how the founding fathers founded it. And the socialists want us to become a socialist democracy. And people don't even understand what that is, because, you know, they haven't been really taught about governments, and the function of government isn't to tell you exactly what to do. The function of government is to make you safe, to make it so that people are safe to be free, safe to have the desires and become what they are to become. And socialism tells you what you're going to do and what you're going to become. They rank you, they file you, and they put you into a particular job. And, you know, one of the reasons they want all the illegal aliens coming in is they want them doing all the grunt jobs, all the stuff that nobody else can do. It's really interesting. Some of my favorite people are people who've come in legally. I have friends who are from El Salvador. You know, everybody freaks out about El Salvador because of M13. And the thing they don't realize is these people are accountants, professional accountants, and yet they're cleaning houses because they can't, their education has not been able to be brought into the United States, you know, and they would make them go back to school and get highly in debt and all these things. And when in the reality is they're an amazing accountant. You know, my daughter, she's trying to get her CPA, and the amount of training and testing that they go through, you know, it's like becoming a medical doctor. I mean, it's tough. And then once you're in there, they control everything you do. You know, the CPAs are controlled. Everybody's so controlled. And
but isn't there a point in time when it, you know, okay, the socialism, you know, socialism kills the individuality, kills individualism. And
it does.
There has to be a return of personal responsibility. And of course, Winston talked about this all the time on the GoldFIsh Report. But this is what you're talking about, personal responsibility, where you're actually visualizing yourself where you want to be, how you want to be living. You have to be changing that, making that shift, making that change consciously.
Yes.
Consciously.
And all of us don't know how to do it, you know, and we're just barely on the surface of learning who we truly are and how we are, our abilities of manifestation, our abilities of creation, our abilities to see, to hear, to know the truth. And all of us have that capacity, but we've all been dummied down. We've literally had our genetics down to the minimum of 2 strands of DNA. And if anything happens to that DNA, we get disease. And so you know, first Saint Germain brought the 24-strand DNA, the perfected DNA. And that helps people to connect to the higher beings and the creator. And then it helps your body be healthier. It helps your emotions be healthier. It helps you get rid of personality defects. It helps you get rid of addictions. Boy, I tell you, everybody I've met who's truly done the 24-strand DNA has evolved. They have evolved into higher human beings. And then Saint Germain comes in and starts teaching us, and he did this through Nostradamus. There are other beings who have lived and become ascended masters who come through and they teach us what is real, what is true about human beings. We, you know, it's no wonder everybody, all the aliens are here watching what's going on Earth, because this, what we're going through right now is going to determine the future of the universe, not just planet Earth, because there's so many humans here who are building and preparing and doing things that they think are right. You know, Dmitry Ichkov in Russia, he's already developed an avatar, and now they're developing the ability to take and put the personality of the human into these avatars that'll live forever. You know, and the only ones that are going to get in these avatars are the filthy rich whose brains are a little off there, and they don't believe in the things that we do, and they're going to be, you know, the future Borg of the universe.
Yeah, like
we humans are creating them
like
right now.
Like Sleepy Joe.
Yeah.
Sleepy Joe Biden. Yeah. Oh yeah, the president keeps saying something's not right about him anymore. He must. He must be one of
Well,
those
Trump just tells things like they are. You know,
he does. He does. He's a New Yorker.
Oh,
That's how
you know, in 2014, I was doing a lecture, and somebody at the lecture said, "Who's going to be the next president of the United States?" You know, because they know I intuit stuff. And immediately you know, and I hadn't even thought about this question. Truthfully, I had no idea. But all of a sudden, I heard the name Donald Trump. And I said to him, Donald Trump. And they all started booing me. And I was like, you asked the question, I gave you the answer. And they were all like, well, how is he going to be president? He's a businessman. And when they asked that question, I was downloaded. He knows how to run a corporation, and the United States is a corporation. And he's going to fix the corporation and bring us back to the republic. And all of a sudden, they started to clap. And they were happy when I said he's going to bring back the republic. This was 2004, April 2014.
Wow, that's
and truthfully, I didn't know much about Trump except he'd been on The Apprentice, you know.
I love that show. I wanted to be on that so bad. I love that show.
It scared me. That show kind of scared me. I was a little bit afraid of Trump, man, having him yell at you and put you in your place, you know.
Fired. You're fired.
You're fired. You're a dumb doctor. You're fired.
No, I loved it. It was great. I loved it. I was probably the only thing I watched I never watched television, so it's the only thing that I probably watched. It was just awesome. But you know, I'm a New Yorker too, half of me anyway. So it's like, you know, it's you do appreciate, you know, if you're an entrepreneur, and I'm an entrepreneur, and it's you do appreciate the hard work that it goes into starting a business from scratch, because it's relentless. It's relentless, and everyone knows about GoldFIsh Report that I've been relentless. That my dedication to GoldFIsh Report, and it has to be if you want to build something that has any value. The sad thing is that, you know, social media giants are destroying it, and that's major antitrust issues, which hopefully we're going to start, you know, resolving. But that's amazing, though. I mean, so you were already tapping into that conscious field, that quantum field, getting that information, and it's already there. I mean, everybody can.
Oh yeah,
everybody can get it. Learn how to do it, right? You meditate or whatever, right?
Yes. You know, it was fascinating. Last night, my son, for some reason, started talking about these different personality types, and he had me do a little, you know, study on it. And I came out being a rebel.
You?
And
Nah.
and what was interesting is rebels rebel against tyranny. And we think in ways that are different. And we are actually, rebels are leaders because they lead the rebellion. And, you know, when I got thinking about that, I was like, well, why did Saint Germain get me? I'm a rebel, you know? And this
Yeah.
morning when Saint Germain came, he showed me
Yeah.
literally different timelines on the planet and how the worst case scenario was us blowing up the planet, you know, and having to start humanity all over again. And when he showed me that, he said, Scott, we are going to change this reality into this. And he showed me this beautiful world where, you know, we're using free energy devices, we have med beds, everybody's happy, everybody's healthy, everybody's helping each other, and that our mentality isn't to fight with one another, but to instruct each other and assist each other to wake up and to know the truth and come into the sense of peace, abundance, and love. And that's the world I'm trying to create. And that was the message that he gave me this morning, is we're no longer going into this blowing up the planet. We are now creating a utopia of love, peace, and abundance for everyone. And all humanity is going to reach their highest potential, which is cool. I love it.
That's awesome. No, we're on board at the GoldFIsh Report. You know that, and
Yes.
that's why we're here. We've been doing our thing for the past 4 years or more, however long it's been now, and we'll continue to do that. And I think that these messages resonate with those people who are also looking to do the same thing, or looking for guidance, or looking for encouragement to
Yes.
do the same thing. And I know a lot of people don't have that sense of self-efficacy. They don't really believe that they can do something just because they haven't done it yet. But really, I mean, they probably just have not really tapped into their full potential. And what do you have to say to people who really need to really understand that they're so much more than what they really think they are, that they have so much more potential? And I know some people that just have this incredible potential. And you know, Scott, sometimes you just know it when you meet somebody and they don't know it. And it's
Yes.
very hard to try to communicate this to people when you really feel it, like you know it. You resonate, you get the energetically, this is, you know, you're like intuiting, you know, it's like your intuition's telling you this person has this potential, you see it, but they just don't see it. How can you help people like that?
You know, it's interesting because when I first found the Seven Sisters, and they were actually brought to me, they were the ones who wanted to be mentored. And when I told them that they were the Seven Sisters, at first, you know, they're dumbing down all of the energy that suppresses us, made them question, oh no, I couldn't be those people, you know, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, you know, every thought that we have because of our education, our upbringing comes back into us, because our parents literally were controlled, believe it or not. My dad, I was really lucky. My stepfather, who I call my dad, he was a higher thinker. He was an engineer, and he could engineer bridges and roads and create all kinds of stuff. And I was so lucky because he would go and show me, you know, here, him and my mom got married when I was 11 years old. And he would take me down into the gorge where they were building the most expensive freeway in the United States at the time, the gorge between St. George and Mesquite, Nevada. And literally, they were going to build a road through mountains and make bridges, you know, carry the traffic. And he visualized this, and he helped engineer it and construct it, and he loved it. He loved it so much.
Yeah.
On his days off, he'd take us down there to look at what they were doing.
Oh, wow. That's cute. That's nice.
And,
Yeah.
you know, I was able to grow up with a visionary. And that was so beautiful because, you know, even when I got into medical school, I thought of the amount of money I was going to go into debt. I told him, I'm going to be up over my head, over in the hundred thousands of dollars once I finish. And he said, Scott, who wouldn't spend $100,000 to make more than $100,000 a year? And all of a sudden my fears just went, oh, they were gone, because he had this vision.
Yeah.
And he helped me have that vision, and it literally helped me not worry, that I knew I could do it. And that's what Saint Germain is trying to do for all of us, is create the vision of creating what we truly desire and helping us know exactly where to go. And what's fascinating is somehow he told me to become a mentor, and he's helping me help create vision for others. Of the 20 people that I started mentoring, half of them have been having the ascended masters appear to them and talk to them and teach them, because we all have that connection. But our problem is our belief system won't allow us to even see them or hear them, because
we can be so thick-headed. It's really frustrating, because we just have all this programming to overcome and this negative internal dialogue. It's like, where does it come from? It's not the ego. It's not the id. It's not, where does this self-doubt come from? We all suffer from it. I mean, I'm not passing judgment on anybody. It's sadly, we all suffer from it.
Believe it or not, the Arconians and the Draconians are controlling our thoughts through their telepathy.
Wow.
They are suppressing us, even though they're half across the universe now, because they've been banned from our planet. They're still telepathically suppressing us. And what we need to do is lift that suppression off of us, because we are literally, we created the Draconians and the Anunnaki, all of that. And they came to keep control of us. And now it's time for us to lift off that control and that power, because we, believe it or not, are more creative and more powerful than they are. And so we need to realize this and start using our minds, our intent, our telepathy, our actions, and our emotions. We need to control our emotions. They literally made us be in fear for hundreds, millions of years. They put us into fear. And so we humans, we automatically go into fear, and it stimulates our sympathetic nervous system and takes us out of the care and repair parasympathetic system. And they want us in that fear. And that's why we've got so many stupid, fearful movies. My daughters, I tried to ban them from seeing, these stupid, scary movies. And yet they'll go to their friend's house and start watching them. Then they'll come home all sympathetically discharged.
I know, right?
And I told them, I keep telling them, don't watch those stupid movies. You want to be in peace. You want your nervous system to be in the parasympathetic repair and rest and take good care of yourself. Whereas the sympathetic nervous system's like we're being attacked by a lion all the time. It makes our system be unhealthy.
Of course, because you're a doctor, they should listen to you, but it's because you're dad that they don't. It's because, it doesn't matter whether you're a mother or father. It's like, they're not going to listen to us. I hate that's the truth. Sometimes they will, but sometimes they just kind of don't. And it's a little disappointing, because you do wish they would listen a little bit more, but we know that we have to allow them to make their mistakes, as hard as it is for us to watch.
Yes.
I know, I hear you. I mean, it's really, my kids are so plugged in to these devices, and sitting at dinner, I'm like, you're kidding, get that off the table. I was like, it's very frustrating. It just wasn't something I grew up with, and I managed to be okay, I think. But it's like, it's rude. It's really rude. What's really rude is that people are on their phones so much that they are so disconnected to like being, you know, manners, being polite. And like you said, the very beginning when you first came on, you know, being this moral compass, this voice of reason, you've got to have, you know, your connection to that voice somewhere, you know, and
Yes.
realize this is rude, you know. I mean, dinner time, you sit at the table, it's family time, it's time to talk, it's time to, you know, enjoy the food. It's a really blessed time of the family. Everyone's at other times always busy doing other things. So when you come together at the dinner table, it's like that's sacred to me. I mean, you know, I'm Italian, that's kind of sacred, right? So it's like it's, but to a lot of people who aren't, it's sacred time because it's family time, and you're supposed to like spend that, you know, connecting with your family, you know.
Yes.
But there are things that interrupt, and it's kind of the sign of the times. But we really have to keep, you know, keep a limit on that. Keep it, um, you know, keep a balance. They, you know, it's like my kids don't need to be on. They see me because I run social media. I'm like on it a lot, but I also
Yeah.
put it down.
Yeah.
I make the effort to, you know, to just spend quality time with them, but it's, you know, one-on-one time, and but they're there on their phone, and you know, it's we're always trying to work against these social norms. But that's the thing, you know. I think the one thing that helped me the most personally, and I'm just going to share this with people. I think I've said it before, was Louise Hay. I love her. God bless her soul. She's, you know, passed on. But what an amazing woman, and what an amazing book, You Can Heal Your Life. And if you have never gotten, you know, read that book, you should read it. It's really fabulous. You know, because, and this was years and years and years ago. I think I was like 19 when I first read her book. And the idea that thoughts are just thoughts, there's something you can change. So when you realize you inherit this belief system, you inherit this negative thinking. And in fact, you know, for people who were like tortured in their last life and they kind of sat there wondering whether they should have done what they did, they could have left that life with self-doubt and come into this incarnation with this sense of self-doubt. So that might be where it even came from. But can imagine many lifetimes of that. So it's sad, but that's the reality of it. And we have to, you know, go inside and really find our own truth, whatever that may be. And you maybe need to go through the dark night of the soul to find it. I mean, it is a difficult process to say, and it's so liberating when you realize this is just a thought. This is a belief that I was raised with. I mean, if I was just born and just landed on this planet now, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't have all these beliefs limiting me. You'd be a
Yes.
fresh, new, blank slate, you know, kind of thing. And so, so, uh, so it's just a thought. Whatever you're thinking is just a thought, and you can change it. You have full power and permission. Isn't there something about giving yourself that permission, Scott? But people don't
Oh,
give themselves permission to do those kinds of changes and say it's okay. You don't have to believe these things just because your family believes them. You don't have to inherit this belief system or these behaviors just because your family did it. You can say, hey, that's not working for me. I give myself permission. But we just don't, we don't learn, we don't know we can do that. How can you help people, you know, what about, give themselves permission to find their truth. I know it sounds weird, but that's really what it comes down to, I think.
you know, the whole mentoring thing that Saint Germain had me start, and mentoring these mentors and giving them the tools to shift people's consciousness, to shift their thinking, is the most powerful thing I've found. And Saint Germain, when I really thought about it, Saint Germain has been mentoring me since 1996. Was the first time he came to me and started changing my thought patterns, started changing the way I thought about medicine, changing
Mm.
about alchemy and about crystals and about homeopathics and all the things that he taught me. And, you know, when he came with this mentoring thing, I really didn't even know what a mentor was. But a mentor helps you shift your consciousness. It's like Louise Hay. She shifts you from having a negative thought to a positive thought. Well, Saint Germain not only shifts you to a positive thought, but teaches you the methods to keep those positive thoughts, to keep moving forward, to keep becoming who you truly desire to become, to help you go from not only, you know, A, where you're at, to B, where you want to be, but C, where you visualize you want to be in the future. And so a mentor can move you from A to B to C. And, you know, I've been amazed at when I've been mentoring, I've actually been downloading stuff to assist people while I'm doing the mentoring. And it's amazing how I can shift their consciousness to go, oh, I can do this. Oh, yes, I can be better. You know, it's amazing because there's so many men hooked on pornography. You know, I mean, prostitution wouldn't exist if men were in their right frame of mind. And, you know, even the trafficking, the pedophilia, all of the crap going on, it's because of telepathic communication from negative souls and negative entities. And they communicate, they surround us, and they try to get us to do stupid stuff. And I've seen this throughout my career as a medical doctor. And, you know, as an OBGYN, we used to have to take the prostitutes in once a month and test them for the STDs and all this stuff. You know, people don't realize this, but there's a whole system in place. And when I saw this system, I thought, well, this is just stupid. Why don't we just retrain these poor prostitutes, get them off the heroin, because that's how they get them hooked to do those kind of things, and get them on a better path. And that's the way I started thinking. And so I started talking to these prostitutes back in St. Louis, you know, and they were all on heroin. First time I ever saw tracks was when I went to medical school. And the first lady, I was doing a physical exam on her. I was third-year medical student. And I looked at her arms and I go, what are those holes in your arm? And she said, boy, ain't you seen tracks? That's where I put my heroin. And, you know, I was like, holy cow, what did I get myself into? You know?
Yeah. Well, but what about there has to be forgiveness, right, Scott?
Oh,
you have to forgive yourself, whatever,
yeah.
No matter what changes you want to make. You can't hold yourself back, put yourself in a mental prison. You know, a lot of people do this. A lot of people just put themselves in a mental prison. They keep a blindfold on because they feel guilty. They feel, well, I wasn't a good person. I did some bad things to people. And, you know, but they have to reconcile that, Scott. You know, if maybe they feel they are unworthy of having real happiness and finding their path, but that's also a negative belief that they hold.
It's a total belief system that keeps you in the negative belief system.
Keeps you trapped.
And you know, the kahunas, when the 12 kahunas came to me, the first thing they did was teach me about Ho'oponopono, about saying, I love myself. I am sorry for anything I ever did. Please forgive me. And I am grateful for who I am. And they would teach, as we're talking about chemtrails, there's a bunch of them out there today. No. But the kahuna started me teaching that right away. And it's a beautiful teaching because telepathically, you can do it to people like Hugh Lin did in the prison. He didn't even go talk to the criminals, the insane people. He would speak to them through his telepathy. He would focus on them by reading their chart, and he would literally just say, I'm sorry that you murdered these people. I forgive you for any of my thoughts about you or your thoughts about yourself. Thank you for being who you are, and I love you. And, you know, literally every one of those people came into a higher vibration and came into a higher way of thinking. They came out of their negativity into positive energy, and literally they put them back in the general prison population, or they released them because the prisons were so crowded they needed to bring more in, and Hugh Lin just kept working on them, and literally he cleared out the prison. And so Ho'oponopono is so powerful. And if you want a copy of it, we've got a copy at the office. We'll email it to you, send it to you, whatever you need. But start doing Ho'opono on yourself and on the people in your life because it works.
Yeah,
I use it constantly.
does. It does. So people need to do the healing their past wounds first, and then
Yes,
and forgiveness with the
yes,
Ho'oponopono, or whatever. That's one way. It might need to work on it a little bit, and then they can come into to. I think you have to heal first before you can really visualize. Put yourself in the present, in the moment that you wish to be. In other words, so
yes,
a lot of successful people, and I'm sure this is what you talk about as well, that if you want to manifest something in your life, that you need to think, feel, act as if it's already there. So
yes,
it's this combination that you're talking about from the beginning of our report today about visualization and action. So it's like,
yes,
yeah, you're kind of pretending in a sense, but in a sense you're also attracting it to yourself. So it's not like fooling yourself that it's actually there. It's just that you have to consciously like think it into fruition. That's what you're saying, right?
exactly. And when Jesus was on the planet, he said, you need to become like a little child, believing and new thinking and bringing happiness and joy in your life. You need to play. And part of visualization and creating is playing about what you truly desire to create in your life. We've got the tinker toys, we've got the building blocks. We just have to know and decide what we want and start creating.
It's like that
Take those blocks.
from that inner child space. Is that right, Scott?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, as a child, we were innocent. We didn't have all this crap hanging over us. And that's why we got to become like little children again, is believing we're pure, believing we're forgiven, believing we love ourselves and we're grateful for ourselves. Because let me tell you, there's a lot of people out there just locked into the going to work and coming home, and they feel like this is their lot in life, and they're doomed to be the same forever. But that's not true. That's something you've been taught. Socialism is going to teach it even more.
Absolutely.
It's going to lock you in, and you're going to be a robot. And the 5G thing, now Saint Germain has told me two things about it.
Okay.
He says, if the evil people are in charge of it, it will put control, even more control. But if we get the good people in charge of it, it's going to free people, believe it or not. And they sent 64 satellites up into the skies to use the 5G. And literally, I've been telepathically communicating with the controllers of these, and the people at Motorola are the ones who are mainly in charge of this. And I've been telling them, please use it as a freeing device rather than a control device. And that's what Saint Germain has told me to do with the 5G. And I'd appreciate all of you focusing also, because when two or more of you are focused on these things, like Jesus said, you will do even greater things than I have done. That's Jesus speaking. He's saying, and he performed miracles, did all kinds of wonderful things, and we have that power also. And he has told us that. So,
can you imagine how frustrating it must be for Jesus? I mean, he came and taught and left all these, amazing lessons here, and then someone went and adulterated it, hid them, misled people with them. I mean, I would be really, really upset if I were him.
Jesus is amazing. When I met him, there was this love, and it was so incredible. And Jesus came to the planet to teach us love, to teach us forgiveness, to teach us how to clear each other of these entities and these Arconians and all these negative entities and get them into the light again. He taught us how to do this, and we just, we don't believe we can.
Oh, it's also hidden, though. I mean, even, Enoch is the book of Enoch, all that, all these other books aside from Jesus' words. But, even the book of Enoch, who I think was who was it? It was incarnated. Enoch was one of the, wasn't he one of the Ascended Masters or something?
Yes, he was the first teacher, Ascended Master, who literally taught his whole city the truth. and his whole city ascended into heaven. The whole dang thing. And see, we're here to help the earth go through the ascension.
Yeah.
So we need to speak and teach everybody on the planet to get online, to get into this mode of telepathically communicating love, kindness, forgiveness, gratitude. You know, you cannot be in the love consciousness when you're in gratitude. It vibrates in love consciousness. So be grateful that, you know, there's people that taught about gratitude, and always be forgiving and ask for forgiveness for your own stuff, because all of us have done stuff, you know, and we need to be forgiven for it. And so we need to ho'oponopono ourselves and ask others to forgive us and love us and bring these things to fruition. Let me tell you, it'll shift the planet, and we will go through the ascension.
Yeah, people have to really forgive themselves and expect that, you know, if you want to, you know, sincerely apologize to someone, you need to trust that they will, you know, accept it and forgive you as well. And that's important, but it has to be truthful. It has to be the truth.
Yes. And you know, we don't have to tell them face to face. Some of them are dead and gone, but the soul is still there. And sometimes they're trapped because of what they've done to you. And so by forgiving them and asking their forgiveness and telling them you're sorry and telling them you love them and that you're grateful for them, it frees their soul so that they can progress too. You know, we're all interconnected, and we're all in debt to each other for certain energetic or physical or emotional stuff. And by doing the ho'oponopono, it frees you and it frees them. And it's amazing because they will shift. I had a lady who was having horrible problems with her husband. I said, just ho'oponopono him 24/7. And the guy came to her and said, you know, I'm so sorry I did what I did to you, and please forgive me. I mean, he literally did the whole back to her. Please forgive me, and I am so grateful for you being my wife. And she was like, holy cow, what just happened? And she called me up and she says, Scott, you won't believe it. My husband did whole back to me. And I was like, well, you've been doing it to his mind.
Yeah.
And he picked up and he accepted it, and then he did it back to you.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? This works.
It's amazing though. I mean, if you're really in a really, really toxic relationship, folks, you really have to ask yourself, what are you creating? If there's just toxicity and there's negative, there's arguing and fighting and there's backstabbing, are you kidding? I mean, it's kind of like, you think it's going to get better. Just think of all the energy you're exchanging and you're sending to that person and back and forth. And it's kind of like a you know, a never ending cycle. And it's just kind of like, why would you want to put yourself in that, you know, kind of misery? And we do it because we get stuck, because we have fears. Fear is the problem though, Scott. People just have too many fears, and they don't have the faith in the process of life. I can tell you many times personally, I was in a pickle. and I've had my own, you know, guardian angels kind of intervene, and there's always a particular sign that they're a guardian angel, but they look nothing like one, but they are. And you just have to have faith that someone is watching out for you. We all have guides, whether we hear them or listen to them. We need to connect with those guides though, you know, Scott, because it's very hard. We have so much to overcome here, but fear is, I don't know, really something that holds us all back. And we just have to have more faith, not fear. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, because faith is the opposite of fear. Fear feeds the reptilians. It feeds them, and so they want us to stay in fear. And so they'll institute telepathically that we get into the fear, get into the bondage, get into the blame, shame, and guilt. And so how we pull ourselves out of this is self-forgiveness, self-love, self-gratitude, and gratitude for others. And so, you know, I think Saint Germain's just trying to tell us today, ho'oponopono, everybody and everything, and be true to yourself. Start visualizing what you truly desire. Set your intent, set your hemispheres in balance, balance your heart and add the love, and you will create a better reality.
Yeah.
And everything and everybody around you will benefit from it because your vibration will pull them up. One person vibrating in unconditional love and Christ consciousness can bring literally 1 million people with them, with their energy. And so that's what we are responsible to do now, is help not only pull ourselves up, pull up our own bootstraps, we need to help others pull up theirs. And that's my intent with the mentoring and with Saint Germain, is to help foster that love, foster that self-forgiveness, that awareness, that gratitude, so that we all go through the ascension.
Well,
let me just add one thing.
Go ahead.
It was interesting. I was told by Saint Germain to follow David Wilcock's Ascension lectures. And in those lectures, he talked about Alpha Centauri, which is a sister sun to our sun, and how in 2017, they saw another star appeared around Alpha Centauri. And he talked about it's 5 light years away. So 5 light years is 5 years. In 2012, a planet there went through the ascension, becoming a small star. And that star appeared in our light, because it takes 5 years for by the speed of light to get here. Their planet went through the ascension, and we saw the result of that ascension here. Now, a lot of people freak out, our planet's going to become a small star. But we shouldn't freak out, because the Ascended Masters and the beings of light and love are bringing another planet in. We will transport everybody who doesn't want to go through the ascension to the new planet, but they have to be pretty good people, because those who are evil are going to be reabsorbed and taken back to the great central sun and will no longer exist. They'll be reabsorbed back into the great central sun. Right. But those who are good people, they'll be transported to the new earth, and it will be in an opposite rotation on the other side of the sun, but our planet will become a small sun, and we will become beings of light and plasma. Now, even Wilcock referred to this. And, he came up with all the science behind it, because, Wilcock, he just goes into all the sciences and all of the different prophecies. And so I was really glad I watched that, because I didn't know about the planet around Alpha Centauri going through the ascension. And it went through at the time it was supposed to. We were supposed to go through it at that same time, but we are not at a place where we can, they're even close to going through the ascension. So we got a lot of work to do. And the RV, the revision of the value of money is going to totally shift. This is going to happen really soon. Saint Germain, I hate the word soon, but, everything needs to be in the proper place. Even disclosure is going to happen. I keep being told, they're actually replicating med beds as we speak, and I'm going to be able to go pick one up. And so things are shifting on the planet.
Wow.
And so, we need to keep our minds focused on the good and not on the chaos. We need to shift our consciousness, become higher beings of light and love through Ho'oponopono and through our thoughts and our deeds, and focus. Saint Germain says, don't wait for the RV. Start doing as if you've already got the money. Because when they see that you're already doing something, they'll go, okay, here's billions of dollars.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, GoldFIsh Report was kind of created knowing that, these shifts and changes were coming on the planet. And with, it was almost entirely funded out of my own pocket. We did have some, volunteers. I'm sorry, we did have some people help uh, for a period of time. We, have lost a lot of funding just because we have not been able to get out there. Like we've been censored so much that it has
Yes.
affected our ability to continue. But we never waited for money. I mean, money never stopped GoldFIsh Report. It helped it, and when we didn't have it, we continued to continue doing what we're doing, and that is, an example that. But you have to stay dedicated to it. I wanted to just talk about real quick this whole issue of karma and letting go of past transgressions by people, and knowing that revenge is God's. It's not for us to dish out, and that holding on to these past hurts only creates more karma for ourselves and doesn't help
Yes.
us. How can you help people let go of, and I'm saying, really painful wounds? I mean, look, there's some pretty bad things that have happened to people out there, and even very young and early in life, where their whole trust of the world was violated at young ages. There's a lot of pedophilia. There's child trafficking. These people need so much love, and they need to learn to trust again somehow. But it's important. I think it's so imperative that people have to let go of past transgressions, and that will free yourself for sure, wouldn't it, Scott?
Yes. Now, when Jesus talked about this, he said it would be better that a boulder be attached with a rope to their neck and they be drowned in the depths of the ocean. And, that's pretty strong coming from Jesus. But what they've actually said is they will be reabsorbed back into the great central sun. So, when we talk about a death penalty, that's literally taking their soul and dissolving it. So
Right.
they will no longer exist. It's like the highest death penalty you could get.
Yeah, because some people
But
have a hard time doing Ho'oponopono on people that, you know, that really, really did horrible things to people.
yes,
And I understand that difficulty. I think we can all relate to that one way or another. But still, feel the difficulty, feel the fear, feel the pain, but keep moving forward. Don't
yes.
allow it to stop you from moving forward. Feel it and do it anyway. Right?
The unforgiveness actually almost puts that energy of their karma onto us. And so as we forgive them,
Yeah.
we actually release that from ourselves.
Yeah.
And so it's so important for us to not dwell on negative thinking, not dwell on negative things that have happened to us. I was raped when I was 11 years old. And, I held on to that till I was 45 years old and finally forgave it.
Whoa.
And it
You
literally,
never told us that, Scott. Wow.
when I was young, I was 6'1", and the burden of that, when I forgave it, I had gone down to about 5'11", and I was chronically having back pain, and it was down in my sexual chakra. And when I forgave that person, it was so fascinating because I came home and I was a lot taller, and I was like, what happened? And literally, I became 6'1" again, because that burden of carrying that all those years and finally forgiving it literally took a weight off of me that literally I became as tall as I was when I was a kid. And so, the forgiveness and the recognition and sending love, because, a lot of these people who do these things, they were raped when they were kids.
Right.
And it's a self-propagating negative energy. And so as we forgive, it lets them go of that energy also, because they're carrying it too, and it helps them to progress. And so by us forgiving ourselves and forgiving them, it creates this energy that just goes out. And let me tell you, it not only affects the perpetrator,
Right.
but it affects everybody they perpetrated to. And so our job is to forgive. Our job is to send out love. Our job is to be in gratitude and be, when Jesus wept, that's the shortest scripture in the New Testament. Jesus wept because he was forgiving all of the negative things that were happening. And he set the example for us. And as I even think about these things, I start to cry because I know that what I'm doing is assisting them, the perpetrators even, to become better human beings. To forgive them takes that weight off of them even, because they know what they've done.
Scott, is there any way to rehabilitate pedophiles?
Oh, let me tell you.
I mean, this might be a whole other conversation. I mean, I know we're going to have to start wrapping this up soon, but
yes.
I think that there's so many people.
Those are the beings. Yes, those are the beings that Jesus talked about. That it would be better a noose be put around their neck and they be drowned in the depths of the ocean. And God is a God of love. And through that love, he will not allow that to continue to perpetuate, and they will be reabsorbed into the great central sun. Now, those who repent in the flesh, truly repent, they will be allowed to survive and live. But it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Right. And it's one of the worst things that can be done. And, it's even worse than murder. And murder's bad, and it was interesting. A couple of weeks ago, Saint Germain told me, I want you to read Exodus 20, 3 through 11, well, whatever it is, for the 10 Commandments. And I went and read those, and, they're very explicit. And, the people have had the 10 Commandments removed from our entire government now because they think it's a religious thing. But it's not. It's guidance of how we humans should live our lives. We shouldn't steal from one another. We shouldn't commit adultery. We shouldn't do all these things. And all the naughty people wanted them removed so they don't have to look at those laws as they go to work every day, And I read those, and the one that stood out the most was, thou shalt have no other God before me. And, we're putting our phones before God. We're putting our TV before God. We're putting our everything is before God. And we need to have no other God. And so we need to focus on the spiritual nature of the universe. This universe was not created from a big bang. It was created from a creator. And we were created from the creator. And we need to honor that. And Saint Germain honors that. And he has taught me, Scott, you need to honor, the Lord thy God. And, I'm here to tell you that when your pineal gets calcified and you no longer have DMT, you will not communicate with the creator. And so you don't believe there is one. And so the fluoride, the chlorine, all these things have affected our pineal gland. And that is our connecting gland to our brain for the creator. And so if you're not getting the creation, clean up your pineal gland. Joe Dispenza has a great pineal gland meditation on the internet right now. It's a 2-part, and it is excellent to listen to. And it helps reopen up your pineal gland. It helps heal your pineal gland. And it helps you become the creator you're supposed to be. So Joe Dispenza has been great. I love him, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton. They're all kind of joined together, and they've studied all the ancient texts. They've studied all of the different science, and they're scientists, but they are now believing in the Ho'oponopono, the pineal gland, all of it. And I have been lucky because I've met all of them but Joe Dispenza, but I'm going to meet him here in the near future. But, we have magnificent teachers here on the planet right now, and we need to listen to them and use their techniques and be mentored by all of these people. You know, I'm just one of many. There are many people, and Saint Germain is appearing to people all over the planet right now. I'm finally getting the Russian version of the next step in human evolution ready, because, you know, Saint Germain keeps telling me I've got to go to Russia. I've got to introduce the 24-strand DNA.
Oh, very good.
And so, you know, it's going to hit the entire planet. And, you know, I have never wanted to go to India, but I'm supposed to introduce it in Sanskrit and in the language there. And so, and then China, you know, we have to shift the entire planet.
Just for our viewers, the 24-strand DNA manifestation thing, the prayer or whatever you call it, it's on the goldfishreport.com.
Yes.
So it's there if you want to go look at it there. We do have it up there, so it's really good. Scott, in closing, is there anything, we talked about so many things, but it really is about personal. It's about a very personal, you know, I would say, you know, it's time to go inward. It's time to do some self-reflection. It's time to find your truth, whatever that is, but definitely find it, because we're, you know, why would you want to drag karma around with you? And, you know, it's just such a burden, and it's really about releasing these burdens so we can move into a more, you know, a more prosperous and, you know, happier life, because there's the changes that are coming. There's prosperity that's about to come to this planet. We're getting a new currency. We're getting a lot of new things happening.
Yes.
We need to, you know, we need to change our behavior so we don't repeat the past. That's really.
Yes. Now the karma thing, the lords of karma are mitigating, which means they are taking on your karma and taking it away from you as we speak. They are doing it for the billions and billions of humans who have lived on planet Earth. And at this time, the Creator is mitigating through the lords of karma, and there are actual beings who are in charge of your karmic debt, and they are taking it away from you so that you don't have to suffer again. You don't have to be reborn again, go through that karma. And so just know that if through your asking them and repenting and through forgiveness, it's being mitigated. It's being taken care of. So just know that's what's happening on planet Earth right now, because this is such an important time. And we literally have missed it by 7 years so far. And we've got to get our planet on track again. So thank you. Thank you for listening.
That's great, Scott. We just hope you're doing well. We're going to have the links in the description section of the video for people who want to get in touch with Scott. We'll have your contact information in there. And just a message today, Scott, it's been such a long time. It's really nice to, you know, have the opportunity to sit down with you and do another report, because it's a very casual, kind of informal thing. I don't have to talk about politics. You know, and it's great. And although I did work it in there a little bit, but, you know, it was just as a, you know, I was just using it as an example. I was a good example. So it was a really lovely time. Thank you so much for your message and for your time. And, you know, please give your lovely wife my regards, and hope that we'll see her soon on the GoldFIsh Report too. And good luck with all your endeavors, Scott. We do wish you a lot of luck. And, you know, thank you again for bringing this message forth today.
Hey, you are so welcome. We'll be in Denver in a week, and we're doing a conference up there, and Kirk Bradley is doing a conference down in Boulder, Colorado, and he's getting the monies for making the Ascension temples. And so, you know, a lot has happened in a year. You know, I only gave him that blessing a year ago, and he's, you know, he was just going to retire and do nothing the rest of his life, and now he's all gung-ho doing the Ascension temples, and so it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, clear this stuff up, clear up this negative thinking, clear up all this fear, and it's amazing what you're gonna find. Find your potential, and you owe it to yourself to do that. I mean, isn't that right, Scott? People say.
Absolutely. No matter what you've done, we've all done it. But thank God the Lords of Karma are clearing us, and we are all moving forward. But we got to have that telepathy, going. Get your mind straightened out. If you need to learn how to do it, I've got a thing that Saint Germain had me write up about the seven sisters and clearing them, and it will clear you also.
Thank you so much, Scott. And folks, this was a beautiful spiritual message today. Free yourselves and find your potential, and live a happy life as best as you can. And you'll be probably quite surprised what you will learn and find out about yourself. So we just encourage all of you to do that, and wish you all the best. It's also Thursday, so you have a great weekend. We'll be back with a POTUS report on Monday, of course. You can only access them on YouTube from our website. You can also access them from BitChute. Follow us on Instagram, on Facebook news page, and of course on Twitter. Like our page, follow us, subscribe to us on YouTube and the other channels. And keep GoldFIsh Report close to you, because we're going to have a lot of great messages for you coming up soon. So thanks for viewing, and this concludes this edition of the GoldFIsh Report.